Welcome back, everyone. If you're a focused learner trying to wrap your head around the sheer mechanics of massive national infrastructure, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're bringing you a brand new explainer on literally one of the most ambitious physical transformations happening on the planet right now. We're talking about India's massive aviation infrastructure push. We're going to dive into the country's Greenfield airport strategy, and to really understand how these mega projects actually get off the ground, we'll be using one specific high-profile project as our blueprint. So let's get right to it.
Okay, let's dive into this. 21. That is just a staggering number when we're talking about infrastructure at this scale. The government of India has essentially given in-principle approval to set up 21 brand new greenfield airports across the entire country. And just as a quick refresher, a greenfield project simply means building completely from scratch on raw, undeveloped land. There are no constraints from existing structures, it's just a blank canvas. Getting that in-principle approval, that's the ultimate green light. It signifies this massive nationwide commitment to fundamentally rewrite India's aviation map. We're shifting away from relying purely on those legacy metropolitan hubs and establishing entirely new nodes of connectivity.
But here's the thing, this isn't just bureaucratic paper-pushing and distant future promises. 8 of these greenfield airports are already operationalized, right now. We're talking about Durgapur in West Bengal, Shirdi and Sindhudurg over in Maharashtra, Pakyong way up in the mountains of Sikkim, Kannur in Kerala, Kalaburagi in Karnataka, Oravakal in Andhra Pradesh, and Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. The concrete has actually been poured, the radars are spinning, and commercial flights are landing as we speak. It's incredibly important to see this tangible national progress first, before we start zooming into the financials, because it proves, absolutely for sure, that the execution capability is there.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer diversity and scope across these projects. The cost variance across the country is just wild. On one end of the spectrum, you've got these absolute mega projects, right? Like Navi Mumbai, clocking in at an estimated 16,250 crore rupees. Or Jawar Phase 1 in Noida at 8,914 crore. Then you step down to mid-tier international hubs like Mopa in Goa at 3,000 crore. But on the totally opposite end, you've got highly targeted, smaller regional airports. Places like Bijapur at 150 crore and Kaithal at just 50 crore. This huge variance shows us a highly tailored approach. They're matching capital expenditure directly to regional demand, rather than just forcing a one-size-fits-all model.
Section 1. Focus. Bhogapuram International Airport.
Okay, so that macro national level view is fascinating, but to truly grasp how these mega projects come to life, we really need to transition from the macro down to the micro. Let's zoom into our primary case study for this explainer, the Bhogapuram Greenfield project. It's a massive public-use airport development encompassing a sprawling 2,203-acre footprint. It sits in the Vizianagaram district, strategically positioned near the major coastal city of Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Now, one critical detail to note here, and honestly this is a major hurdle for literally every greenfield project, is land acquisition. In India, acquiring this much land is handled by the state government. The state actually has to do the heavy lifting of mutating and securing those 2,200-plus acres, so the private developer gets a clean slate to build on. Now, what's really interesting about this is a fascinating strategic trade-off. You see, you can't just open a massive new commercial airport without impacting the existing ecosystem around it. The approval for Bhogapuram actually came with a very specific condition, which was solidified in a 2022 Memorandum of Understanding. Basically, once scheduled commercial operations begin at this new greenfield airport in Bhogapuram, commercial operations at the existing civil enclave at the Visakhapatnam Naval Airfield, which is known as INS Dega, must stop entirely for a period of 30 years. It's a highly calculated move. It ensures the new multi-billion rupee infrastructure has a monopoly on commercial traffic in the immediate region, which essentially guarantees its financial viability.
Section 2. The timeline to construction. Building an airport is, as you can imagine, a complex chronological journey. You don't just buy a plot of land and start pouring tarmac the very next day. It requires navigating an absolute labyrinth of mandatory clearances, securing super complex financing closures, aligning multiple private and public stakeholders, and of course, overcoming inevitable bureaucratic hurdles. So let's walk through this structured timeline to see how that actually plays out in reality. The initial in-principle approval was granted way back in October 2016.
Then a massive leap to September 2022. That's when the critical land mutation MOU was signed between the Airports Authority of India and the government of Andhra Pradesh. That finally unlocked the next stage. By March 2023, formal agreements were exchanged with the private airport developer GVIL. And finally, this whole cascade of bureaucratic milestones led to a physical reality. On May 3, 2023, the foundation stone was officially laid. It took nearly 7 years from initial approval just to break ground.
And as you might expect, as the timeline stretches, so does the budget. The cost evolution here is pretty striking. Back in 2017, the estimated expenditure for the construction of Bhogapuram was roughly 2,260 crore rupees. Fast forward to the laying of the foundation stone in 2023, and the estimated project cost had ballooned to 4,592 crore rupees. And get this, that is just for Phase 1. The financial scope expanded dramatically over those years. To cover all this, they had to establish a complex funding matrix. Land acquisition and pre-development activities were funded through HUDCO loans and the state budget, while the actual construction and daily operations fall squarely on the shoulders of the private developer.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds out in 3 major phases.
The thing is, you don't build an airport for the traffic you have today, you build it for the traffic you expect to have in 30 years. But at the same time, you don't want to over-leverage yourself financially on day one. So, what's the solution? A highly scalable phase construction strategy. For Bhogapuram, this translates into 3 distinct, deliberate steps. Phase 1 is designed to handle 6 million passengers per annum. Once demand hits a certain trigger threshold, they roll into Phase 2, which doubles that capacity to 12 million passengers. Finally, Phase 3 will see the development conclude with a massive total capacity of 18 million passengers per year. It's a smart way to ensure capital is spent efficiently, growing the physical infrastructure strictly in tandem with real-world passenger demand.
Visualizing this steady climb, you can see how this strategy ensures a deliberate step up in infrastructure capability. It's like a perfect staircase of growth. Each expansion phase represents a massive new injection of capital and construction, fundamentally future-proofing the entire region's aviation needs for decades to come. All right, let's get specific about what that 4,592 crore rupee price tag in Phase 1 actually buys. The physical attributes are seriously impressive. We're talking about a massive 3,800-meter runway that is Cat-I enabled, which basically means it's equipped with precision instrument landing systems for operations even in low visibility. But crucially, and this is a big one, it also includes a dedicated 5,000 square meter cargo terminal. That detail is absolutely vital. You see, airports aren't just for moving people, they are massive logistics hubs. Having a dedicated large-scale cargo terminal right from day one means immediate integration into global supply chains.
Section 4. Engines of Regional Growth.
So let's zoom back out for a moment. What is the ultimate purpose behind moving all this earth, navigating endless red tape, and pouring literally billions of rupees of concrete? Like, why go through the immense pain of a Greenfield project? Well, the crucial point is exactly what the development mandate states. Quote, the airport would become a growth engine for the development of the state and play a key role in the rise of tourism in the northern Andhra region. At the end of the day, an airport is never just an airport. It is a localized economic multiplier. It attracts foreign direct investment, it creates direct and indirect employment, it spawns entire hospitality industries, and it unlocks tourism potential that previously just lay dormant simply because the region was too hard to get to.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. We've traced the blueprint of just one project today, Bhogapuram, but zoom out again to that very first number we discussed at the start of the show. With 21 greenfield airports currently reshaping the map, how will this completely new era of aviation transform India's regional economies over the next 20 years? When you literally drop 21 massive economic growth engines into previously underconnected regions, the ripple effects on local prosperity, trade, and tourism are going to be absolutely profound. It's a fascinating space to watch, and we will definitely keep tracking the data as these mega projects take flight. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.
Thanks for watching. For daily APPSC Group 2 study material and updates, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.